So the booklet that I sent out to everyone is called How to Analyze Your Aura Picture Booklet. And this booklet is the booklet that I have used for many, many years on how to teach an aura class. And it starts with some of the foundation of aura analysis and the importance of it. And because of the fact I've been teaching people how to analyze auras for 20 plus years, this, of course, is a baseline for assisting people to understand what the aura energy is, and then as well as some other pointers. So we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. Now, when I first started in this industry, Martina Gruber came here from Germany and taught a class, and the class was how to read the aura. And of course, she had already developed the aura technology, the biopulsar, to show people their aura. However, she wanted people to understand that what you saw, sensed, felt of the aura was exactly what you'd see on the biopulsar. So what I did is I started repeating this class and teaching people how to read the aura without the technology. And we would always use the biopulsar to validate the findings. And what people wrote, sense, felt through their clairvoyant ability or clairsentient ability, or however they perceived the aura, was exactly what the biopulsar showed. And the biopulsar technology is advanced technology that shows you the frequency of all the organs and glands that you're resonating out from your body. And in fact, it also measures 8 brain parameters, and every brain parameter, again, can house a different thought, emotion, mood, belief. And again, that's what resonates outwards from your physical body. And everywhere you go, your aura goes with you. I tell everyone that, the house that we live in this physical body is physical matter because of the dimensions of the aura that surround us. It's all these different layers of our aura that keeps all our atoms in a physical form. Without our aura, we wouldn't exist. We'd be free floating molecules. So our aura is really important. And we all know that when we walk into a room, we can feel other people's energy. Some people are more sensitive to that than others. But when you walk into a room, sometimes you can feel a heaviness or a lightness based on the energy of the room dynamics. Or maybe you're talking to someone and you can right away sense or feel how they're feeling, what they're understanding or perceiving. So we have this capability of reading each other, and it is, in a way, our auras are connecting, and then through the auras connecting, we can actually get all the psychosomatic information. So we'll start just by talking a little bit about the aura. The aura is a mirror image of you, including your consciousness, your subconsciousness, your higher consciousness. It's an emanation of all these different dimensions of your being. It shows your physical health, it shows your mental health, it shows your spiritual connection. It shows unresolved issues, conflicts, conditions. Everything is housed within your aura. But because a lot of people don't understand that aspect of it, they don't realize that when you become an aura reader, you're actually seeing into the depths of somebody's soul. And I remember one aura counseling session I was doing with this woman. She had all this magnificent orange in her aura. And as you understand the color language and the possibilities of what those colors mean, because she showed so much orange, I said, you would make a beautiful massage therapist. And she started crying. And I said, please share with me why you're crying. She goes, well, I wanted to be a massage therapist, and then I ended up having to change, directions in my life. And when I changed directions in my life, I pushed being a massage therapist aside. And then she had a family, and she said, here, my children are grown now. And I decided that I wanted to go back into, doing what was important to me. And I decided I wanted to pursue a career in massage therapy. And here you are telling me I have a perfect energy for a massage therapist. And it was because of all that orange. Out of all the colors, when people have a lot of orange, they are so clever with the feelings of their hands. They're super sensitive. So therefore, you know, touching people, like my massage therapist is actually a red orange person. So she's able to do such deep massages because, for one, she's not scared of touching me, nor is she scared of applying pressure. Where I've learned that there are some massage therapists, for example, who are green, and green people would be very light to the touch because they don't want to hurt. So, you know, again, knowing that people who work with their hands are very connected to the orange element, that you can actually see, you know, some of the direction that people would be good in their life. Okay. Also, your aura shows your past, your present, and your future dynamics. Because we're measuring different areas of the brain, or we're looking at different areas of the brain, the past or the back brain is connected to past thoughts, where the midbrain is present thoughts, and the forehead areas of the brain are your capability of tapping into the future. And when you look at these areas on a medical level, we do know that the past brain, or the back brain, houses the integration of your past experiences into what you're doing now or in the future, versus the midbrain is rationalizing everything in the present moment, where aspects of the forehead are analyzing what, you know, your capabilities to plan and to you know, predict the future, because it's taking, again, everything from the past and it's integrating it into the future thoughts. So literally, your aura radiates all these different dynamics. It radiates everything. We can see everything in your aura. Now, can anybody here see auras? Okay.
Only occasionally, depending on what I'm doing.
Okay. So I get a lot of people saying to me, well, I don't see auras. All your sensing abilities perceive energy. And I remember when I was going for my thesis in color therapy, I actually did I did my thesis on sound therapy, and I actually blindfolded myself for 24 hours. And all I did was write about the sounds that I heard, and a lot of translating my writing after, because when you're writing without seeing the paper, it's pretty comical. But nonetheless, my perception through my hearing became so acute within those 24 hours. It was amazing to me. And this is why people who are challenged with different sensitivities sometimes end up enhancing other areas of sensitivities, that they can perceive things, if not more brilliantly than sometimes we do when we rely on our eyes. And if we actually think about our sensory capabilities, 5 out of our 6 senses are within our brow chakra. Isn't that amazing? Like, when you think about it, you know, your eyes are in your brow chakra, your ears are in your brow chakra, your nose is in the brow chakra, as well as your upper mouth is in the brow chakra, and your perception of intuition is housed in the brow chakra. The only aspect that's not in the brow chakra is your capability to sense through touch. Okay. However, there is even some dynamics of touch that you can perceive around this area as well. But to me, it doesn't matter if you're able to actually see the aura as a clairvoyant does. There's ways that you can still perceive the aura without, you know, without having clairvoyant ability. So I know with myself, I have a very astute sense of smell as well. And so when it comes to aromatherapy and other things, I love to be involved because I can smell things very, very much. And today when I went into the staff lunchroom, I went, oh, somebody just ate an orange, because I could smell that orange energy residual that was left in the room. So it's tapping into what your skills are, because not everybody has the same skills. Not everybody is clairvoyant. However, sometimes we don't understand what we're seeing when we're actually seeing energy, energy vibration. So for example, if you look at a light bulb, have you ever seen that blue glow around the light bulb? Yeah, most people actually do. Most people can see that haze that's around the light bulb, and it's because that blue or that light is emitting that blue frequency. You'll see that halo of the blue light. You don't see that typically when you're looking at full spectrum light bulbs. But again, the point of this is that we often see energy, but we don't think of it in the way that we're actually seeing vibration. And one exercise that we can just quickly do now is by rubbing our hands together. What we're doing is we're creating a stronger electromagnetic frequency within our hands, and then we can actually feel the energy within our hands, and sometimes it will feel like a ball. Now, if you don't feel that, here's another little tip. Spray your hand. You're creating that electromagnetic energy from your own perspiration, combined with creating that electricity. However, when your hands are dehydrated, it's a difficult exercise to do. But that also tells you a little bit about if you're dehydrated, your aura is dehydrated, and you're not going to be as sensitive to things. Okay, so just even by putting a little moisture on your hand and rubbing your hands together, you can actually build up that electromagnetic energy stronger, that when you do this exercise, you can feel the tinglings in your fingers, and you can often feel that energy ball within your two palms. Okay, so that's a nice little exercise just to sort of play with energy. So most of us can see or feel energy, but it's taking it to that next level of understanding. Now, another question I get asked a lot is when, for example, people are clairvoyant, sometimes they may see different colors than maybe what our aura technology shows or what other people are sensing. And through your own auric field, when you look into somebody else's aura, if in front of your eyes the color is registering yellow and you're looking at somebody's aura that's blue, yellow and blue combined will actually make green. So sometimes people will actually see variables in the colors that they're seeing. So you have to start going beyond that and understanding more about that vibration. Okay. Now, because I work a lot with the technology, that's actually what's really helped me expand my understanding of the human aura, because before, what I was sensing and perceiving, I could now validate on the technology. And Martina Gruber, who developed the biopulsar, she is a full body medical clairvoyant. And at a young age, she was already able to diagnose the body physically through her sensory perception. However, she wanted to show people what she was seeing in their aura. And so therefore, she developed this technology to go beyond what current aura technology is. And she actually, through the biopulsar handplate, measures the organ vitality of your body. And it's every organ that beams out from you that is a frequency. So this is why in your auric field, there's all these different colors. It's not random. It's actually the pulse of your heart beating outwards. It's the expansion and the frequency of your lungs going in and out that's emanating from you. Every thought that you have is a vibration that emanates out from your brain. How you express yourself is an emanating frequency. Every area in your body is a different frequency that's emanating out, and that makes your full body aura. Now, another thing we have to take into consideration when we're analyzing the aura is what the color means, because it can mean something physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So you have what I call the 4 quadrants, which encompass the holistic whole. What is holistic? It is the physical, the mental, emotional, and the spiritual side of yourself. So if we divide 100 into 4, then 25% of the energy that we're seeing would be physical, 25 emotional, 25 mental, and 25 spiritual. So this is the holisticness of your aura. We're seeing the colors, but what do those colors mean? As an aura detective, what I'm doing is I'm translating that information about the colors of the aura into the different possibilities. So if I see red in an organ, I know that that organ could have heat and inflammation, but I also know that on a different level of the mentality, that's passions, You know, it's about how motivated you are with your thoughts. You know, on an emotional level, that's excitement and you know, your connection to life. And on a spiritual level, it's that feeling of existence. So every color has its own meaning, but every color can have hundreds of meanings. And again, those meanings could be, you know, on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level. So as you get more refined in aura diagnosis, this is part of what we do, is we analyze, okay, is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it spiritual? Is it mental? Or is it a combination of everything? Because what creates a blockage typically just isn't a fleeting thought. It's a reoccurring pattern. And that pattern can be on a conscious, unconscious, or on a higher conscious level. And so again, it takes a while to really understand how to perceive the aura and what it means. But in this class, we're going to try to do our best to give you some insight into that. So when we use aura technology, it's taking that snapshot, which is a representation of your aura, and it's more comprehensive because then we can decipher these things. Because our aura is in constant motion, when we're looking at a flowing aura, again, we may not necessarily understand where that emanation is coming from, especially if you don't understand where in the body the energy is. So when I see, for example, that there's yellow above the heart, then I know that that yellow is connected to the heart organ, and I'm diagnosing that aura color based on that perspective. And we're going to be talking about that shortly. And I did actually, I forgot I brought this up. Oh. Okay, so how do we read the aura? So there's different areas that we look at. So for example, everything that we see in a person that emanates from their brain is literally their thoughts, their moods, their emotions. It's their general consciousness. But of course, that can also be divided into the past, present, and future. And I'm not going to have time to go into all the details of that, but in a nutshell, that's what we're looking at. So when we're looking at a person's aura, we break it down into different segments, from the thoughts, their beliefs, their emotions, their mood, and then we look at the individual areas. Now, without technology, reading the aura is more difficult for most people. But if you want to start understanding the aura, you have to actually, start reading the aura through whatever perception capability you can, and start making notes and asking a lot of questions. So when Martina came here, and also just so you know, Martina had the only aura school in Europe for a number of years. She was teaching about auric energy through her school, for over 25 years ago, maybe even 30 years ago. And so that was how she started. And then she integrated aura technology because she wanted to, like I said, prove to people what she was seeing in the aura. But we're looking at the different areas and what that can project, or what that means in regards to the energy that's being projected. So in Martina's class, what she did is she had people perceiving each other's aura. And how do you perceive an aura? Well, quite simply, you just have to put your hands around the different areas and see what information you pick up on. And sometimes you can feel it in the form of temperature. So when we feel things that are warmer, then they're going to be the warmer colors. And this is where you have to understand some of the science behind things. So for example, out of all the color spectrum, red is the most warming to the touch, where blue is the most cooling to the touch. And then of course, as we go towards white, it could even actually be more cool. So as we go up in frequency, the energy is cooler. When we go down in frequency, the energy is warmer. So when you're feeling somebody's aura, then you'll feel that heat. Kind of like when you're rubbing your hands together initially, what you're doing is you're creating that heat. And so what you're feeling is you're feeling the energy more so of the red, which is that formation of energy. Okay, does that make sense? So in order to practice, you have to actually have people that are willing to participate, where you can move around their body and see if you can pick up on things. And things can come to you on a psychosomatic level. I get color information just as words. I'll see things in color in that way. Some people can actually see the color by closing their eyes. So there's all these different ways to perceive energy. You can smell color. I had a medical doctor that came through one of my classes, and he told me that he worked in the emergency room. And when when people were coming in, he could actually smell their health. And so just by simply smelling the people coming in, he actually knew how serious their condition was. And there's even animals like dogs and cats that can smell cancer or extreme illness because they've developed that sensitivity. And in a way, it's almost like if you smell a rotten apple, that's the smell that we're talking about in regards to the energy. So we can perceive even through our sense of smell. All our senses are constantly perceiving information. But if you don't quiet your mind and block it by, trying to overanalyze it, then you may not fully understand how to perceive the aura energetically. And because I work a lot with the biopulsar, I've been studying the human aura from an actual analytical perspective. And I can tell you, because I've done thousands upon thousands of readings, the colors in the aura really represent people's emotions, moods, thoughts, and physicality. So the colors that literally emanate from the brain are all to do with your thoughts and, your beliefs and the way you're thinking, feeling, and your mood. And again, different areas of the body reflect different things. And we're going to talk a little bit about body language in a few minutes. Okay. Now, another thing too, I get a lot of people asking, like, why can't I perceive my own energy? The hardest thing to do is to try to perceive your own energy. This is why it's good if you and a friend are going to be studying, aura analysis, that you have a partner. So this way you can sort of work on them and they can work on you, and then you can refine your sensing capabilities. But the hardest thing to do is actually reading yourself, even on a psychic level, because I get people saying, why can't psychics predict the future? Well, it's pretty hard to predict your own future. It's sometimes easier to, be able to relate to someone else. Now, when we're noticing colors in the aura, then we have to start to understand what that color language means. And, for example, if I see somebody who's got an extremely yellow aura, it's going to mean something totally different than if somebody has a lot of indigo in their aura. And when I see people who have a lot of yellow in their aura, I know that their solar plexus center is very excited, because the color that's emanating from their aura is in direct correlation to the solar plexus chakra. Versus if I see a lot of indigo in somebody's aura, then I know that they're very connected to their brow chakra. So whatever colors I see in the aura are indicating the level that people are using their different energy centers. Every color is connected to a chakra. So if we go through the chakras, we know that the root chakra is connected to red, whereas the sacral center is orange, the solar plexus is yellow, the green is the heart chakra, the blue is the throat chakra, the thyroid. I might have said that a little goofy, but yeah, the throat chakra. The indigo and the violet remain in the brain, are governed by the brain, as well as the pituitary and pineal glands. And every chakra is connected to one of our endocrine glands. So the root chakra is connected to our adrenals, the orange, the gonads, the sexual organs, the yellow, the pancreas, the green, the thymus, the blue, the thyroid. And again, the pituitary and pineal gland are connected to our indigo and violet centers. Okay. Okay. Now, when reading an aura, it's like putting pieces of the puzzle together. And what I look for when I'm reading the aura is the patterns. What colors are the same? Where are they located? Are they within the same chakra vicinity, or are they in different locations? When I see that the colors in the brain are identical to a color that I'm perceiving in the body, then I know those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions are directly connected to the organ. And we already know in medical science that all emotions can cause havoc in our physical body. And it's in a way, I look at it this way: if you're constantly anxious, then of course that anxiousness is going to be in your brain because it's a thought. However, if you hyperventilate when you get anxious, then you can imagine that you might be affecting your heart center as well. So when I see that indigo color of anxiety, worry, fear, doubt in the heart, and I see it also in the brain, then I know that that person through their thoughts is creating that hyperactive condition. Okay. And we always have to ask a lot of questions because there can be multiple connections to the different colors and our energy. Then we can understand that there can be direct connections to different aspects. So I ask a lot of questions. So if I see, for example, that indigo anxiety in the back of the brain, then I know that something in their past caused them anxiety. And I'll often ask people, when did you start feeling anxious? Is this something that you felt at a very young age, or as you got older? Was there something happened? And see if they can identify with a specific trauma or experience in their life that they can relate to in regards to that worry or that anxiety. I also look at combinations because certain colors are more aligned with each other. So if I see somebody who has a lot of indigo and violet and these different colors in their brain, then I know that there's that I know that there's that connection because the frequencies are very similar. Versus if I see a lot of red, orange, or yellow in the brain, again, it's very similar frequencies. And then every color has its connection, whether it's introverted, extroverted, spiritual, more physical, more emotional, more mental, more extroverted, more introverted. I think I said that. So there's a lot of different relationships to the colors that we look at when we're starting to, analyze the different aspects. And I already talked about the past, present, and future. So now I want to jump into the colors because time goes by so fast when I'm talking that I want to make sure I cover everything. I want to take you through the interpretation of the colors, because when you start perceiving color in an aura, whether you're visually looking at the biopulsar or you're doing this through your own energy training, you have to start understanding what the colors mean. And so I'm going to break each color down into different areas so you can understand some of what I see. There's always polarities. We can talk in terms of positive or negative. We could talk in terms of hyperactive or hypoactive. We can talk in terms of excessive energy or a deficiency. It's polarities. We're always looking at the polarities. When I see a vibrant color in the aura, that means that that aspect of the aura is successfully integrated, meaning the attributes that are connected to that color are going to be on that positive level. Versus when I see a color that's dark and dirty and muted, then I know that that is the negative side of the color. Versus if I see that color being light in hue, then I know it's underused. So we can, again, talk about it in terms of excessiveness or deficiency stages. But red, for example, is a warming and stimulating color. It's connected to our adrenal glands, and it's our overall physical strength. It is our direct connection to what we call our physical intelligence. Emotionally, it is full of life and vigor. Okay. When I see red in the aura, I love it because these are people who are passionate in life. Now, of course, when we go down to the mentality of it, it is the physical phase of the mentality which is a driving force. And the red energy is something that we don't often see in vibrant colors in the aura, because most people are not participating in life as well as they can. Most people are scared of their power. And if you read a lot of spiritual minded books, they talk a lot about this. They talk about the fact that, we're scared of our own success, that we're underestimating ourselves. And, there's different roadblocks and challenges that we end up having in our life because we don't have a strong enough belief in who we are. When you connect to your root chakra, that is a primary life force that whatever your passions are, you'll be able to manifest them because you're connected to that energy. And because the red energy is all about manifesting on a physical level, you can understand the importance of the red. But most people are scared of the red. Why? Well, as we go further, you're going to learn a bit more about that. Now, spiritually, it's our physical self and it's our connection to life. It helps us to feel alive. And, it just seems like nowadays most people are unrealistic, and often they're daydreaming about all these different possibilities. And I'm sure we've all done that, where we think about, what life would be if we did this, or what life would be if we did that. And we can't go back in time. So we can't go back to things that we have no control over. But what we can do is learn from our experiences and grow with that. But when I see this, muted red in the aura, then I know that there's something that's blocking people to feel life and to be motivated and to be able to accomplish their goals in life. And part of the reason is when we go into that excessive root energy, we can see right here that that's where the bully lies. That's where it is physical abuse. And I'm sure that, most people have in some way experienced abuse, whether it's mental abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse even, or physical abuse. It's a feeling that you could be harmed. And I think this is why a lot of people disconnect from red, is because of the fact that it is such a strong feeling that if somebody ever towered over you and, had that bully mentality, you may have felt threatened in your life. So by that feeling alone, you could actually disregard or repress your red energy because you may see it as a bully. But you got to remember there's the positive and the negative aspect of the color. When somebody is using their red on a negative, then you don't want to be around them, because they're not going to be, ultimately the most positive influence, versus if they're passionate and you can feel that person's passionate, where they're excited and they're wanting to share something with you, you appreciate that more so, but you're a little hesitant because you understand that on the negative, it could be that bully. So I'm trying to teach people that there's a fine line between passion and anger. Anger is the negative of passion, but passion on a positive level is that life force of I love life. And how many people actually feel that they love life? More people, especially when you're on the computer all the time, you're living in this altered reality of some possibilities of make believe. And even nowadays, with this disconnect from the social aspect of our life, then we're even withdrawing more from our red energy, because we're being told that we can't be around each other, and we can't even be sick nowadays, because if we're sick, then we have to self-isolate. It's a negative thing, it's a bad thing. But again, our body sometimes needs to have these down times to recuperate. But when your energy is healthy and your immunity is strong, you don't have to worry about the negative side of things. And when we look at the fact that in North America, for example, 60% of the population has one diagnosed illness. 60% of the population has something that they've been diagnosed with, whether it is something as simple as asthma, or maybe it is ulcers or leaky gut. 60% of people are diagnosed with one illness. However, another 40% is diagnosed with two illnesses. So when we understand, when it comes to our health concern, we have every right to be concerned because we are not using the red energy to be strong. We're resisting the red energy, and now we're being dictated to that we are to resist the red energy, that it's not a good thing to actually, catch a cold or a flu. We're trying to prevent all this, but nonetheless. Now, emotionally, again, if we look at the negative side of the red, we can see things, emotional abuse, we can see anger, frustration, we can see tyrant. These are characteristics that, none of us like when we exhibit them, but we can. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Sometimes what drives us is our passions, right? And mentally, it can be that abuser as well. And it's a very aggressive energy. It could be very, stubborn, dictatorial. And on a spiritual level, it's people or that energy feels invincible. Now, on the deficient stage, we can see that, physically, it's a lack of energy. And a lot of people are lethargic. They don't have the vitality. When your red is strong, you can go all day without being fatigued. And I tell everyone, when your red is weak, when you don't have enough red within you, then literally sometime during the day, you're going to experience fatigue. And I can see this sometimes when I teach classes, that around 2, 3 in the afternoon, I can see people, their eyes are fluttering because they're so exhausted at that point because they don't have enough red energy that holds their energy all day. And when I do aura readings, I go into these different things that I see in the aura to assist people on, lifestyle choices. Because if you have a slow vibration in your aura, then that will actually mean that you've got to do lifestyle choices that are going to speed up your energy, because otherwise you are going to be constantly fatigued. And this is why, more and more people are ending up with, seasonal affective disorder and chronic fatigue. And depending on where you are in the world, for example, Vancouver's, is it longitude or latitude? I don't know which one, but where Vancouver exists, 30% less sunshine versus, for example, Florida or California or Texas. So people on that belt have more sunshine, so they don't have, as much seasonal affective disorder because they have the sun shining all day. However, if you're stuck indoors because you work during the weekday or weekends indoors, then you might not be getting that natural light energy anyways, which of course can affect, your ability to have good vitality based on, being solarized. Now, emotionally, when people are, their red energy is diluted or dull, then it will extend into the emotions of not being confident. Mentally, they don't have the driving force mentally, and so they'll actually give up quite easily. And then on a spiritual level, it's lacking that earthly connection. And this is when people can feel, tired of life and don't want to participate, and people give up on life. And that's when, people can be suicidal, or, especially as people get older, they disconnect from their red energy. And so therefore they just don't want to be here anymore. So we can see every color has different aspects of intelligence that affects us. So when we look at the orange, we know that it's connected to the water organs. It's also an antispasmodic, but that's more for color therapy healing. Orange is your emotional feeling intelligence. So when you're connected to your emotions, you're going to be feeling very strong on that emotional level, where if you repress your emotions, then, your emotions can eat you up. And that is also your level of intimacy. So if you're detached from people and you're not allowing people into, your life, then again, you have to look at, your orange energy. And I often see orange energy as being a little bit more muted. So when we look at that orange energy, we can see that it's not as vibrant as this orange energy. Okay. So when I'm looking at the colors of the aura, I'm looking at the clarity of the colors. So you can see from these two aura pictures that this has a glow of yellow and orange in it. It's more on the yellow side, but the color isn't as vibrant as, say, for example, this orange. Now in this picture, we can actually see that the two oranges are different. One is more vibrant and the other one is a little bit more dull. So when we talk about the colors in the brain, they have a lot to do with your personality. It has a lot to do not just with your mood, but your personality. When I am analyzing people's auras, over and over and over again, there's certain characteristics of every color that shine through. So when I see a lot of orange in the brain, these people are very very creative. And again, the more the orange is towards the red, then it would also be a physical creativity, where if it's more yellow, then it's a soft creativity. And this is more yellow than it is orange, but it just has a little bit of glow of orange in there for me to understand that it's a little bit of mental creativity. Does that make sense? Okay. So if we look at other attributes of the orange energy, it is a very creative energy, and it's also a very sensing energy. And on a spiritual level, it's your right to feel. It's a very enthusiastic energy, and the right to feel is on multiple levels. Now, when I see an aura that has a lot of orange in it, then I know that these people often have some sort of addictions. And the addictions can vary, and sometimes it's multiple addictions. And so when I see an aura with a lot of orange in it, and I'll give you some examples. For example, I had one woman where, well, actually more than one person, where their aura was so orange that they would cry very easily. So as soon as I started talking about anything, all of a sudden the tears started showing, because understanding that orange is connected to the sacral center, and the sacral center is those emotions and that the connection to our body's waterwork system, then it could be tears of joy, it could be tears of sadness. It has a lot to do with those emotions relating to the water element. Okay. I also had somebody who had a lot of orange in their aura, and they were a shopaholic. I've had people who are gambling, have gambling addictions. You know, people have eating disorders. I did a whole bunch of models, and all of them were very thin, and their stomachs actually went inward, which when a part of your body goes inward, then that is an energy deficiency. So again, on an auric level, I already knew that because their stomachs were dipping in, they didn't even have a little Buddha belly, because they were dipping in, that's where the energy was lost. And of course, you know, that's where the absence of energy was. And it was because they were very much into the orange energy. And sometimes it's so hard for me to teach you everything in such a simple seminar, but a lot of models are orange energy. It's their natural energy, because it's a very social energy. It doesn't mind being in the limelight. It's a little bit of a show-off energy. So here I had all these models that had eating disorders, which again is an addiction, or a form of addiction. What else can I tell you about the orange energy? Okay, we talked about the, and it can be the mix of emotions too, where one minute the person is happy and the next minute they're sad. One minute the person is happy and the next minute they're angry. One minute the person's happy and the next minute they're crying. It's that extreme. And a lot of imbalances in the orange energy is mood swings. Okay, so when you're seeing somebody who's got a lot of orange in their aura, especially in the brain, then you know that this person is capable of mood swings. So it could be represented in like this, where you're seeing quite a bit of orange energy above the head, but sometimes even more so. Now with this person, they're also showing gray, which is telling me that their thoughts are very creative, but their thoughts could also be lack of creativity because there's an absence of energy there. So that means that the creativity isn't at an optimal peak because there is void mixed in with that orange energy. Okay. And mentally, it could be somebody who has a childlike nature. So just be aware of that when you see a lot of orange in the aura. Now, on a deficiency level, it could mean somebody who is denying their emotions, which means there could be that frigidity. And I've had several women who were trying to get pregnant and their aura showed no orange whatsoever. And in fact, their whole aura was masculine in nature. Their colors were all masculine. And it's pretty hard to get pregnant when you have two male masculine energies trying to procreate. So therefore, if people are trying to get pregnant, then there has to be that abundance of orange flowing because obviously it has to be that connection to the orange energy. And spiritually, it is a self-serving and gratifying energy. When your orange is intact, then you're serving, the world as well as serving yourself. It's a balance. Okay. Oh, I was on the deficiency. I skipped over the spiritual and the excess. Emotionally, it would be somebody who's extremely shy. When people are lacking in that orange energy or that orange is very dull and not tapped into, then these people could be extremely shy, timid, withdrawn even. On a mental level, it's the inability to think clearly. And of course, if the creativity is repressed, then, that could also represent a negative thinking. And lack of spiritual connection when there's deficient orange energy in one's aura. And I remember, talking about Mother Teresa, it is perceived that she could have been an orange personality. And often when we think about people who are spiritual minded, we think, oh my goodness, their aura should have all this orange all this white or, violet energies in there. We're always thinking that the higher frequency colors are spiritual in nature. But orange on a spiritual level is very enthusiastic about life in general. It's living in the the present moment. And it's also being that social energy that's being out there to, teach other people about a cause. So all colors have that spiritual connection. And so again, it's not that just violet or white has that spiritual connection, but orange and red and yellow do too. Okay. So in your booklet, you have all these different connections to the color. So as you go through the colors, start to memorize what each color means, and that will give you more of an indication of what those colors mean in the aura. Now, in your booklet, all the page dedicated to reading the aura. And this is sort of my guideline of reading the aura is first getting a perception of somebody's energy. And again, whether you're using the biopulsar technology or you're using your own capabilities of perceiving the aura, what is your first impression? When I'm looking at somebody's aura, I'm getting a first impression. Am I seeing a heaviness? Am I seeing anything, that might indicate that I'm going to come back and talk about this? So for example, when I see gray in the brain, I know that I'm going to be talking about that afterwards. I'm not necessarily talking about it initially, but I'm going to come back to that because I'm wanting to understand why are those areas depressed? And when I say depressed, it doesn't mean that the person's depressed in regards to how they're feeling, but it could just be depressed, memory capabilities or depressed thoughts, but not in the way of depression, but rather you don't have the fluidity of, having ample thoughts or capabilities. Sort of like, I'll explain it this way. I remember, in school, if I had to do some very intense studying, I would feel very brain dead after. Well, that's when we see gray in the brain, when you're so tired mentally that your brain isn't functioning on full cylinders. And we have to remember that water creates electrolyte activity in our body. So when we are lacking the water element in our body, then again, how are we getting the water to our brain? Because if our internal organs are dehydrated, then that can cause a conflict eventually in our brain. And I'm just going to share one more thought with you after I have a sip of my, my cold tea. So for example, when it comes to our thoughts, when you're thinking, there are several areas of your brain that are processing. However, because most people don't drink enough water, we know 70% of people are dehydrated. That will affect the electrolyte activity in our body, which can extend into our brain. So when we're dehydrated, then the circuitry going up to the brain isn't going to be as strong. And so therefore, it's going to be hard for us to have great memory recall, past recall. And you might notice things like, for example, forgetting where you put your car keys. All of a sudden you go, now, where did I put my car keys? Or where did you leave your cell phone? These are the things that people will experience when we're seeing a void of energy on a mental level. So whenever I'm looking at the aura, I'm looking at these different dynamics in the aura picture. Okay. Now, when I'm also looking at the aura, the layer that surrounds us, that's the furthest away from us. So when I'm looking at an aura picture, I'm looking at the colors that go around us. Okay. And I'm looking at how they're integrated and the frequencies they are. Now, when we're looking at the physical body, we're wanting to see as much greens and turquoises in the body, because that's representing the organs that are emanating frequencies out that depict our aura are literally on a balanced level. Now, the brain has more to do with your thoughts, your conscious, unconscious programs, your moods. That's what we see in the brain. However, in the body, we're wanting to see the body in optimal health, obviously. So we're looking for as much turquoises and light blues and greens as possible. So we can see in this aura picture, we're seeing lots of good color in the body. Likewise, in this picture, we're seeing lots of good colors in the body. Likewise, in this picture, we're seeing lots of greens in the body. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of neutral colors. I like that when I see that. However, when I'm looking at the outer layer, I'm looking at, do the colors go together? So in this picture, we see that there's this bluish color around, however, above the head is orange. So this is telling me that the body, mind, and spirit are not communicating the same language. Similar here, we can also see underneath a bit of a green color, turquoise on the outside, and above the head, we're seeing that yellowy orange hue, which is telling me that the body, mind, and spirit aren't communicating. Now, in this picture, we can see that the green energy is going around the whole body. So this is indicating that the body, mind, and spirit is communicating in the same language. So I'm looking at how strong the connection is for body, mind, and spirit. And when I see that disconnect between the physical body and the colors of the brain, and if we look at this aura picture, we can see that the physical body is primarily in communication with each other, but the colors above in the head are totally different. And so that's telling me that the body and the mind are not as strong, as strongly connected. What's going on in the thoughts is not registering the body. Now, it's not like that's a bad thing, but again, we want to, as a aura detective, start to understand why we might be seeing that. Now, the general vitality is always shown in the spine. And so when you're scanning somebody's back, you're going down the spine and you're just seeing if the energy flow is flowing very strongly. Versus in the aura picture, we can see the spine here. So with this person, we see the white energy in the spine. So that's telling me that the energy is hyperactive, and it's hyperactive for some reason. So as we're doing an aura counseling, then we're talking to the person and we're going to be asking them, why are they relying on spirit to do all their physical work? Right? Versus here, we can see the spine is shown here, and it's the same color that's on the outer color, but the spine is indicating that it still is in good health. so the energy is flowing strongly. In this picture here, we can see that it's a bit of a darker blue that's in the picture, just right beside the green color. It's just slightly a little heightened, but still within the acceptable range of energy. Again, I'm looking for the turquoises and, the turquoises and greens and light blues in the spine area to show good health. Now, other things I look at is where there might be gray in the aura, because the gray shows me where things aren't integrated. And again, it could be something as simple as memory problems, or it can be that that person's going through, for example, in this case, this person could be going through something very emotional that's causing a lot of orange energy in their aura. And I remember I was doing a reading on somebody, and this person had a lot of orange above the head combined with gray. And I said, you're going through something very, very emotional, and you're denying your emotions. And the person told me that they had caught their spouse cheating. So as you can imagine, there's, orange energy is that intimate energy, that orange energy is the emotions, and combined with the gray, that could be that negativity. Something extreme is going on in that person's life, that they're having these thoughts. And of course, in a situation like that, that could be some pretty heavy duty thoughts. Okay. And I'm looking at what areas are congested in the aura. And congested could be, things like absence of energy, or it can be a darkness of energy, or it can be a combination of energies that are stagnating in an area. And sometimes they can be opposing energies. If I see a fast frequency color with a low frequency color, then that's a conflict. And I like to talk about it in regards to personalities, because I'm, for example, a yellow person. I'm very strong analytically. However, I'm also very strong in my crown chakra. So I have my solar plexus that wants facts. It wants research. It wants all the stats. It wants the science behind everything. And then there's the violet side of myself. That's the spiritual side that says, come on, you know that this exists. It's sort of like when I was first learning how to read the aura from my perception abilities through my different senses. It was very challenging for me, because I kept doubting what it was that I was, seeing, sensing, or perceiving. However, when I got the biopulsar technology and I had this incredible aura device, it actually proved what I was sensing. And so therefore I understood on an intuitive level. So to me, the biopulsar is sort of like that left brain energy combined with that right brain energy that merges the two worlds of the metaphysical to the physical. So for me, that was very exciting. But I look at the areas of congestion. So for example, with this individual, I am seeing that in this area, and I'll take it out of the sheet protector so it's not so shiny, but in this area here, we can see that there's this deep red color. So this is telling me that in those organs, there's a situation that's developing, if it hasn't developed already. And sometimes when you're reading the aura, you don't know if it's coming, going, or in the present. This is where you have to ask questions or use your intuition to guide you, because I work very much intuitively. So a lot of times I'll pick it up as something that could be the past or the future. So for example, in this area, we're seeing that dark red in the upper arm and the shoulder. So it's actually in two different organs. And this is when we go into patterns of consciousness that, because I'm seeing that deep red in the upper arm and the shoulder, then on a body language level, we can start to decipher what that means, which we're going towards right now. I also look at any chakra facts. Am I sensing or seeing that any chakras are heightened or any chakras are deficient? So when I'm looking at somebody's energy flow, I'm looking at, whether or not their chakras are communicating. So for example, with this person, their throat chakra is 25% and their crown is 79%. So you can see the variables of the chakras are quite extreme. So these are some of the things that I'm looking at to help me understand what could be going on. So if I see that, the crown chakra is exploding with energy and the throat chakra is weak, that tells me that this person is trusting a lot in the universal flow, is very connected on a spiritual level. However, they don't know how to communicate the information that maybe they're perceiving on that high spiritual level. And also, we're going to talk briefly about when we're looking at somebody's aura, what can we recommend that they do to improve their energy? Because when there is tiredness in an area of the body, then we have to look at what can we do to create a stronger energy flow. And it's as simple as this. When there is a blockage or a problem in the root chakra, we simply have to recommend red things, because if the energy in that chakra is weak, how do we get it stronger? We all know that there's a color association to every chakra. So it's as simple as that. So if somebody has a deficiency in their root, they better be eating red foods, using essential oils that are red, doing physical activity that is red, doing mental training that is red. Literally on a holistic level, we have to decipher what can that person do to raise that vibration, whether it's in an individual organ or whether it's an overall chakra. So, and then we note any other observations. So this is a great handout to just, help you in regards to reading the aura. Now, going back to a couple things that we're discussing, above the head is telling you the thoughts and the emotions of the person, because it's those parts of the brain frequency that are emanating these different, clouds of color. Every thought that you have is a color connection. For example, and again, if you've read any books on color therapy or chakra therapy, you know that red is about passion. So when we see, red in the brain, we know that that person is very passionate, where if we don't see the color red, then there may not be that passion in those thoughts. Okay. And when we're reading from the aura picture, the color that comes right from the top of the head is illustrating the crown energy, and it's one's belief system. So when I see white there, then I know that that person has a strong belief system, versus when I see gray, that person isn't connected to spirit as well as they can be. And you got to remember that our energy goes through ebbs and flows, where some days you feel so spiritually connected, and then other days you may feel less spiritually inclined. Some days you're more mentally connected, and other days it's like you can't remember anything. Some days you're very emotional, and other days you're not very creative. So there's that ebb and flow of our energy. However, the more we actually track energy. And this is one of the things that most clairvoyants aren't sitting there and illustrating the colors that they're seeing in somebody's aura. So there's no baseline to work from. When we're using aura technology, if I see that this person, has some gray that's coming from their crown chakra, but the next time they've done their violet homework and that gray is gone, then I know that they were able to shift that vibration and to have more consciousness in their crown chakra. However, if I see that gray repeating itself over and over and over again, then I have to investigate why we're seeing that gray, why that blockage or absence of energy is missing. Okay, so the next few pages go into the body language, and we can see any color in any organ. We have to understand that everybody's aura map is unique. It's sort of like a snowflake or a butterfly. Every color is uniquely different. So where I see the colors and the color clarity and the color grouping, the color consistencies, these are all telling me different things in regards to what's going on with a person's energy. Okay. I'll just quickly take another example, that when we're looking at the colors in the face, and again, we're looking at what are the eyes showing? What are the ears showing? The eyes are showing us what you're seeing in life, how you're viewing things. Okay. And again, we have to look at the polar opposites. It's about how we perceive as well as how others may perceive us, right? Similarly with the ears, it's not only just about what you're hearing, it could be also about how you're hearing things or how other people are hearing you, right? Your sense of smell is how self-aware you are, and as well as how aware you are of other people, okay? And I remember one time, and this is when I was younger, it was so cute because I had this one guy that I was dating and he was smelling me. And I'm going, what are you doing? Because he's smelling my neck. And he's there, I like your smell. So for him, he was actually smelling my smell to see if he liked my smell. I thought that was rather interesting. But again, that is one of the super sensing abilities of and I don't want to say clairvoyance, it's called clairsentient. So it is somebody who has that ability to smell things. And again, there's different sensory abilities. Our mouth is how well we communicate, but it's not just words, it's how we communicate our emotions, our thoughts, our spirituality. It's our ability to express ourselves to others, and as well it's how other people are understanding us. So when I see, for example, yellow in the mouth, I know that this person is able to express themselves based on what they know. Okay, like with myself, I'm a great teacher when it comes to the intellect. However, when it comes to my emotions, this is where I can hold back, and again, if you look at people, that gives you a perception of some possibilities as well. When I look at myself, I can see I'm a little bit rigid in this area. And I understand that because, again, it's my capability of being able to express myself, but I have no problem expressing my my viewpoints or expressing what I know, what I've been taught, what I've been trained in. However, when it comes to expressing my emotions, this is my area that I hold. And whatever color we perceive or see in that area, again, we have to then define it. Excuse me. So when I see red in the mouth, this could be somebody who's very expressive on a passionate level. However, if I see dark red in the mouth, then it's somebody who could be holding back their passion, and it could be more, people blurting out what they're what they're understanding in a way that could be construed as angry or irritated. If I see orange in the mouth, then that's telling me that that person is an emotional expresser. And sometimes on the negative, it could be somebody who's got verbal diarrhea that just expresses too much emotion. Okay. Or they could also stifle their emotions. Yellow would be, somebody, as I mentioned, that would, obviously be able to express what they know mentally, but, again, they might not be able to express on an emotional level. Now, greens and turquoise in the mouth is more of that balance. So their capability of expression would be more in that balance level, unless you see that green or turquoise in a dull or dark color. So for example, if I see a dark green in the mouth, then this is somebody who, might be a little bit envious or, expressing, on a jealousy level. Blue could be very cool in the way it communicates, or it could be very, capable of expressing on a holistic level. On indigo in the mouth would be, that intuitive energy versus, maybe the fear of expressing and so on. So you can see how every color in an organ is illustrating how that organ is communicating to us. And this is the psychology of body language. Any organ can actually hold any emotion. Okay. The liver just doesn't hold anger. It can hold any thought, any emotion, any program. So we have to be thinking outside the box. And a lot of times in training, what they're doing is they're creating the norms. They're saying that, okay, the liver holds anger. However, we have to look at it in different ways. Maybe that person that created this whole school of thought of anger in the liver had anger in their own liver, and that's how they perceived it, rather than looking at the possibility that anybody can hold emotion in the liver. And the liver is about how you're processing your food physically, but it's also about how you're processing your thoughts, your feelings. So it's not just restricted to processing your food, it's digesting and processing your thoughts and ideas. And this is the language of the body. Okay. So we're going to wrap it up here, because obviously, as I mentioned, this is typically a 3-hour class, and we've condensed it into just, it's now over 1 hour. So you can understand that there's a lot that we can learn about what the aura shows. But you have to develop your capabilities, whether it's through technology or whether it's through developing your own super sensitivities. And you have to do exercises to develop your super sensitivities. Because of the biopulsar technology, it helped me just automatically develop my intuition, because whatever I was seeing in the aura picture, it was actually marrying up to the health of the organs. So that gave me a lot of psychosomatic information about the emotions that were stored in the organs, but also it taught me a lot about the physical aspect of the aura. So we're just going to open this up to any questions, because I always want to have everyone, ask any questions they may have in regards to the topic that we just talked about.
Okay, Suzanne?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Okay. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, because I have the Chromiolife. I do
Right.
not have Biopulsar yet. The
Right.
book that you're using, I know you sent us a copy, but
Yeah.
obviously it's not the whole book. Is there a way we can purchase that book?
Yes, I will send it to you, because when you are a Biopulsar owner, this is one of the tools that I gave you for free. It was probably in one of the emails that you received. But again,
Okay.
because I think also sometimes I'm learning that people don't always see my emails, and I'm not sure why. You've got to remember that the internet is very fragile. And if, say, for example, I'm sending you an email and your server shut down just for a second or two, you will not get my email. So,
Oh, okay. So yeah, I just went through the emails. I was looking for it. I didn't find it. So it's possible something weird happened,
okay.
but I would appreciate it.
Yeah, last week I sent out a link to this booklet, as well as a flyer example and a email example. So I've given you the schematics on, how you can actually teach this class if you're a teacher. If you're not signed up as one of our teachers, then I'm giving you condensed versions of things. However, if you become more involved in our company, then these are schematics that we give to our different teachers, so you can successfully teach classes that are similar in nature. Again, I condensed this class into 1 hour, but this class is typically a 3-hour workshop.
Yeah, I can easily see that.
Yeah, and normally when I teach a class, everybody has their aura picture in front of them, because most of my classes were interactive, where people were coming to the classroom, and I'd have everybody with their aura picture in front of them. And then by seeing everybody's aura, I was going, okay, everybody look at the colors above your head. And then I would say, when you see red in the head, it's passion, it's, you're feeling life, you're zestful, versus, when we see orange, that's the color of creativity. And I literally go through all the colors and I talk about each one. And then, as you saw on, I think it was page 2 of the manual, it gives you the breakdown of the aura and the different positions. So then I'm going through those different areas in the classroom, and I'm trying to engage everybody by showing them tidbits in their aura. Because of COVID, obviously things are a little bit difficult. So you can, go back on people's aura readings that they've had with you, or in this class, because I know there was going to be people joining that may have never had a aura reading with the biopulsar. Then I was just saying, if you have a aura picture from the past, bring whatever, because the colors of the aura mean the same thing regardless of what system you're using, but the biopulsar is the only one that breaks down the organs into colors so we can actually see what the organ colors are. So we can actually go into very detailed and refined aura readings.
Susan, can I ask you something?
Sure.
This what has been updated, or it's the same that I had in my training manual from the Biopulsar?
You know, I'm always updating things. And I was
Yeah.
mentioning to Beverly before you joined in that even last night I found some errors in it. So I did some corrections. So the
Uh-oh.
version that is now uploaded on the website. So if you go back to the original link and click on it, you'll even get the more updated version. And I'm always trying to put the date on it. So then that way, when you're looking at the date, you can see the last time I updated it, and I usually put it in the corner. Okay.
You know what? It's because I use it in my readings as a way to people to see that there are something scientific behind this, and I have it translated to Portuguese. So it's better if I see if my version is like this one, no? Because I think
Yeah, it probably has been updated. I added a lot of pages and I had the old version too. And then I looked at it and went, wait a minute, I've got to make sure I send you guys the right one out. So yeah, pages have been added. And I think what I'm going to do is create a couple different versions of it. So for example, when you're, promoting an aura reading, you could automatically give out the short version to everyone. So it becomes part of your reading. Or if you're doing a longer reading, then, you might entice them and say that you can email them the longer version. Because I think it is helpful. And, I've had readings on other systems and they give you this little slim, piece of paper that, for you to self-analyze. However, this is quite a comprehensive booklet, and because we're the only company that goes into diagnosing the aura, in detail, then of course this booklet has a lot more added information to it.
I give the first flyer you had, I think 14 years ago.
Yeah.
You give me a small flyer. It has the values of the organs.
Yeah.
I've made it in Portuguese and I give that with the picture.
Wonderful. Yeah, you're talking about the little chakra brochure, which is a nice little handout to give with every reading. For sure.
Yeah. The small one.
Yeah. But because of the fact there's so much into reading the aura, of course, what we're always trying to do is train our biopulsar practitioners how to read the aura from scratch, because there's more value in that. Because whenever I read generic information, and, this is somewhat generic, but it is also very scientific, it can be construed in many different ways. But like I said, the more auras you read, you're looking for the patterns, you're looking at how the colors are working together. Is there too many colors? Are they dark? Are they dirty? Are they light? Are they bright? There's so many things that we're looking at when we're reading the aura.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But people like to take something with them.
Yeah. And that's why, there's a lot of articles that I include with things. So that way, people are taking away things. So if if I can see that somebody's very hard on themselves and their heart chakra is weak because they're not loving and nurturing themselves, then I have my article on self-love. And it's just reminders of what we can do to love ourselves. So there's methods or there's madness behind all these handouts that I create, because I want people to have some takeaway value.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, and for anyone who's joined us that are from the US, happy Turkey Day. I hope you've enjoyed your day, and I think it's now called Happy Native Heritage Day. So anyways, it's a day to be thankful. I am thankful for all of you out there, and thank you for joining me today, and have a wonderful day or evening, depending on where you are.